Jewel runs in second. Amen. Hallelujah is third. Far outside, Blind Luck is now fourth. 1 furlong to go. Evening Jewel's come away with the lead. Evening Jewel in title pole. Blind Luck is full out, and she continues to close ground, but time's running out. There's only 100 yards. Blind Luck continues a dramatic run, and Evening Jewel digs down. Blind Luck, here's the wire. Photo finish.
All right, welcome back to A Case for Racing Immortality. Today we're taking a look at Blind Luck, winner of the 2010 Kentucky Oaks and champion 3-year-old filly of 2010. And just before we get started with Blind Luck's case, I just want to mention 2 mistakes that I made in the intro video that when I went back and took a look at it, I caught those. Number 1, I believe I forgot to mention that Have Rated Grace is a finalist. If I didn't, oh well, but if I did forget that, then just add Have Rated Grace to the list of finalists. And then also, I have no idea why I did this, but when I was going through the human categories, I was talking about trainer David Whiteley. I accidentally called him John. Again, I have no idea why I did this, but those are the 2 mistakes I made. If I made any more, feel free to let me know, but those are the 2 off my head. So with those notes out of the way, let's get on to Blind Luck's case. As I said earlier, Blind Luck, winner of the 2010 Kentucky Oaks. In addition to winning the Kentucky Oaks in 2010, she won the Alabama Stakes and the Delaware Oaks over eventual Horse of the Year Have Rated Grace. So she had a successful career. I'm not going to say that she's one of the greatest fillies ever because she's not, but Blind Luck had a very successful career. She was also at 2 a winner of the, well, at the time it was called the Oakleaf Stakes, but now it's known as the Chandler. But she won that race, and then she also won the Starlet Stakes, which was run at Hollywood Park when she ran in it. It's now run at Santa Anita, I believe. No, it's run at Los Alamitos, now that I think about it. And then as a 4-year-old, she won the Vanity Handicap and the Delaware Handicap. So all in all, a pretty successful career for Blind Luck. Now, Blind Luck's running style also produced a lot of very, very close finishes for her. She was one of those start from the back, and then when she came into the stretch, run down all the horses that were in front of her. Now, a lot of times that won her races, but sometimes she lost very tight photo finishes. In 2010, in addition to all her successes, she lost the Cotillion at Parks to Have Rated Grace, and she also won lost the Breeders' Cup Ladies Classic by about a length and a half to Unrivaled Bell. So that is basically what Blind Luck's career is. Now, this isn't her first time. She was a finalist last year. She wasn't elected. And I was running into this problem, not problem necessarily, but this thought with her, is that I was originally thinking that, doesn't have the strongest case for enshrinement this year. But when you really think about it, what difference does it make what year she's elected? Like if she's elected now or 10 years from now. If she is a Hall of Famer, if you believe she's a Hall of Famer, then what's the reason of not electing her? And since I believe she's a Hall of Famer, I'm going to say she deserves to get in this year. Now, do I think she's going to get in? That remains to be seen. But right now, looking at her, she has the case. I will say she definitely is the weakest of all the Hall of Fame cases, but the one horse that got in last year was Heavenly Prize, and Heavenly Prize didn't really light up the tapes. Neither did Blind Luck, but Heavenly Prize, if you were going to look at any of those horses last year, Heavenly Prize was the big surprise. Yes, I will give it to her. She won the Alabama, the Gazelle, and the Beldame in 1994, and that is what won her champion 3-year-old filly. But she lost the Breeders' Cup Distaff twice, and, she wasn't the most consistent. Blind Luck was more consistent than her, but Heavenly Prize got in. Again, why she got in over all the other horses is my question. I don't know. But Heavenly Prize has the weakest, but she is a Hall of Famer. She won more races than she lost. Of course, that doesn't really make a difference. But she is she doesn't have that strong of a case, but she did enough in her career to warrant election to the Hall of Fame. She was an Eclipse Award winner. She won the Kentucky Oaks, the Alabama Stakes, the two biggest races in the country for 3-year-old fillies. Now, that's arguable, but I will say those are two of the most prominent. The Kentucky Oaks is the most prominent race for 3-year-old fillies, and then the Alabama is the longest, kind of like the Belmont Stakes. The Alabama's run at 1.25 miles. I believe that's one of the only races exclusively for fillies and mares. Well, in this case, just for fillies, but exclusively for female horses that still run at 1.25 miles. I don't know if I'm correct on that, but you can check me if you would like. But so my resting point is this. It really doesn't make a difference when you elect her because she still is a Hall of Famer. And if she's a Hall of Famer now, her credentials aren't going to change 5 years down the road. So if you're just going to keep putting her on the ballot and then saying she doesn't have a strong enough case, but you believe that she's a Hall of Famer, then just put her in. I've never understood or agreed with people in the sports world that do that. So my last point, I think she should be in. I would vote her in, but I don't think she will because, like I said, she does have the weakest case of any of the other horses that are being considered alongside her. But she does deserve to be a Hall of Famer, and I think at some point she will be. Thank you for tuning into part 3 of A Case for Racing Immortality. Racing Rundown is a weekly horse racing podcast on all podcast sites. In addition to the weekly podcast, Racing Rundown has a YouTube channel that, among the A Case for Racing Immortality, will also feature other series about general horse racing topics. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at Racing Rundown and on Twitter at Rundown Racing. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week with Have Ray to Grace.
Now they're coming to the top of the stretch. Have de Grace, acting happy. Devil May Care across the track with Blind Luck trying to catch him from the far outside. Top of the stretch. Acting happy, a stubborn foe. Have de Grace is there. Blind Luck is gaining on them with every stride. Down to the final 16th. Blind Luck, Have de Grace, Have de Grace. Blind Luck, Have de Grace. Blind Luck wins the Alabama in a thriller.